everybody, welcome. My name is Mary Reilly, and many of you look familiar. So what we're going to talk about is volunteerism, and we're going to listen to some great people who've done great things, as we had a conversation beforehand. So sit back, and I'm going to introduce Miss Allie Horn.
I'm Allie. I am in South Jersey. I'm an attorney and I'm trying to get into environmental law. I started volunteering back this past September. At the time, I was unemployed and, had a lot of time on my hands. I was really experiencing a lot of anxiety and really freaking out leading up to the election. I got into that headspace. I think I was just not doing anything. So I had all that time to think about everything going on in the world. And I know back then the Sierra Club was having this campaign to try to protect the Arctic refuge. I was following that. I know the Tongass was under threat. And it just felt like that election was really going to determine everything for the future. I also had just been working at the UN before I was unemployed, and I was sitting in on a lot of climate talks and stuff like that, and it really just didn't seem very productive to me. So that also contributed to that general anxiety I was feeling. And another thing that contributed to my decision to volunteer, sorry, I don't know where this is. There we go. So right before I actually hit go and started volunteering, I had just gotten back from my first trip to Yellowstone. And it was a great trip overall, but while I was there was an oil spill right along the Yellowstone River. There was at least 3 ongoing wildfires. And I was expecting to land and just be immediately in all this wilderness. And as soon as we got out of the airport, there was oil drilling all over the place. And I was pretty surprised to see that. So as soon as I got back from that trip, I started volunteering with Greenpeace, and I reached out to on the New Jersey Sierra Club website. And within the first few days after I reached out, I heard back. I got a call from Rich Isaac. He saw that I was in South Jersey, and he asked me if I was interested in helping out with the campaign and endorsement for Amy Kennedy, because a little background down here in South Jersey, our Congressman Jeff Von Drew, he ran on a Democratic ticket, and then within the first year of being elected, he turned full-blown Republican, full-blown pro-Trump guy. Was talking about allowing offshore drilling, which nobody likes. So the Sierra Club was really pushing for Amy Kennedy, and it was a pretty historic moment, actually, because at that time the Sierra Club had never revoked an endorsement. They went ahead. Once I said, okay, I'll do it. Not Jeff, but Rich got me in contact with people from, staff from the Sierra Club, from all over the country. I talked directly with the Amy Kennedy campaign. I met her on Zoom a few times. I got to meet her husband in person, who is like a cousin of John F. Kennedy. Somehow they're related. So all at once, I was kind of just like volunteering in the biggest way, and like all at once. So it was really exciting. I was talking to voters every day. A lot of people in my area who I didn't know before. And it was just really great. It kind of relieved that anxiety I was feeling, because here I was doing something that actually was hopefully going to be historic and important. And it was just so much better than sitting around and feeling like I was doing nothing. So that is how I got started. And about a week after I got started with all that, I was appointed as the social media coordinator for the chapter, which is probably how I'm the most involved currently. Um, I thought it would be a good fit. I knew about social media. I used it as just a person. I really was interested in photography and making graphics and stuff. And I generally knew how social media worked. And since starting that back in September, I really have an appreciation for social media as a tool for activism and getting people to actually go ahead and take action, for educating people, for being a form of communication with legislators, and with other environmental organizations in our state and around the country. Um, I interact with people, well, their accounts, but the accounts of Sierra clubs from all over the country, mostly Washington State and Georgia, and Maryland. Those are probably the three I talk with the most on there. And so these pictures that I have here are examples from weeks of actions that I've helped coordinate. And that's probably my favorite thing about social media. Um, we do these every once in a while with mostly with Empower NJ, which is the coalition of New Jersey environmental orgs against fossil fuel projects. Um, and that's my favorite thing to do because we're directly, reaching out to Governor Murphy. And so this one from the LNG export project, that was also New York and Delaware and Pennsylvania. So it was just really great because you log on and you see everyone posting pictures about this topic, and it's just really empowering, and it takes no time at all. You just hit post and you feel like you're doing something. And those were really fun to orchestrate, for the social benefits of reaching out to all different types of people, but also getting to learn about graphic design and photography is also pretty fun as well. Um, Also with social media, I've actually learned a lot about all kinds of different topics within environmentalism that I didn't know before. I didn't really know all the bad consequences of LNG. And there was a belief definitely down here that that was better than building a pipeline. So I really wouldn't have known too much about it had I not been involved in this way. So social media, I definitely have grown even more appreciation for it. Some other things I'm involved with is youth engagement. With that, I really try and focus on attracting young people to volunteer. And it can be kind of tricky because young people are pretty busy, especially I feel like in my age group where people are trying to start off on their careers. And I feel like there has to be some sort of incentive for young people to get involved and stay involved. So I'm really trying to focus on things like career panels and some sort of blog where young volunteers can all share different internships they come across and opportunities that would be good for environmental careers. Um, and I'm also working with Erica up in North Jersey, reaching out to um, different high schools all over the state who don't have any sort of environmental clubs yet. So I feel like those are new faces that we could potentially get to get involved. I'm also involved with the legislative committee pretty newly. That is really interesting because I have access to a database that has all this bill tracking software and information on there. And I get updates like daily on different updates in the legislative process for just about anything environmental related, environmental justice related. A lot of COVID stuff is on there. So it's very interesting, and I'm learning every day about all different kinds of topics and important issues. So that is something really great that I'm also involved with. And with that, I also have the opportunity to reach out to different experts who are volunteers first one that comes to mind is Mark, who I'm sure everyone here knows, but he is an expert on PFAS. And again, before I joined the Sierra Club, I had no idea what PFAS was. And through the bill tracking and talking with different volunteers, I've learned a lot about PFAS, more than probably I ever would have otherwise. Another thing that I'm really interested in is offshore wind, because down here in South Jersey, ongoing, there's a pretty not great campaign that's spreading misinformation about the Ocean Wind Project, which is proposed to be off of the Atlantic City coast. And they're spreading information about how it would be detrimental to whales and to birds, and no one's going to be allowed to fish here anymore, which is all not true. So to combat that, I've been reaching out to environmental clubs at Stockton University and trying to come up with information that we can send out, when we see other groups around the area start to support that misinformation campaign. And I'm hoping pretty soon we'll be able to put together some sort of panel discussion that we can invite people from all over the state, and hopefully a lot of people from this area to attend and learn about. Another educational campaign that I'm working on is about composting. I don't know too much about the rest of the state on this issue, but down here, there's really no composting services unless you have your own composting heap in your backyard. There's not really any alternatives. So what I've been doing is reaching out to different neighborhoods and condominium associations and my own, and just asking, have you ever thought about doing this just for your community, for your residents? Would you be interested? Here's all you would need to get that started. And if they say no, I just still via email, just still send the information, because it's simple, and maybe hopefully get their minds just thinking about it. So those are the issues that I'm really interested in. And then also writing for the NJCR, and I think is a really great opportunity, especially for young people who want to volunteer, because it's a publication, and I mean, anything helps with getting an environmental career and a job. So I wrote my first article, and it's in this this latest issue, and it's about the black bear hunt. Because even though we don't have many in South Jersey, they're pretty cool. So I wrote about those. So that's just another really beneficial way to get involved and to volunteer. So for me, the thing that I've probably gotten the most out of volunteering has been reconnecting with nature. Like I said, I was working with the UN right before I started volunteering, and I was thinking about things in such a big picture way that I really feel like I stopped thinking about nature and the environment closer to home. And so that's something that I've really gotten out of the Sierra Club. I'm so much more aware than I was before about issues right here in my state, in my backyard. I've gotten back into, well, not back into, I started to really get involved with photography. And so these pictures are from actually from my backyard. For me, the Sierra Club and volunteering has really become an important part of my identity. It's the thing I always say in those awkward icebreakers, like say something interesting about yourself. I just talk about volunteering with the Sierra Club and how important that is to me. And more concrete things I would be proud of is definitely the 2020 election and the Georgia Senate race. Even though those things happened, a month after I started volunteering, writing letters and talking to voters every day, it was, pretty minuscule in the grand scheme of things, but I definitely felt a part of that accomplishment. And just being a part of that community here with the Sierra Club, that was really awesome, especially after having all that anxiety about what was going to happen. So that was really important. And there's still letter writing campaign. I think it must have been really successful because they still, National does letter writing campaigns for everything now. So that's really great. Some other more concrete accomplishments. When I started with the social media back in September, we were around 300 followers. And now we're just about to pass 1,000. So that's a pretty concrete accomplishment. Hopefully we'll get some more. And also I feel like I joined at a really exciting time because the plastic bag ban happened about maybe 3 weeks or 2 weeks after I started volunteering. So that was really fun to be a part of that victory. Also the environmental justice bill. I think New Jersey might have been the first in the country. I could be wrong, but either the first or second in the country to have something like that. So that was also really interesting and, again, fun to be a part of. And then the fracking ban along the Delaware, I really felt a part of that because I had just done that week of action. So seeing that kind of from start to finish and only being, you know, a volunteer for the past like 6 months was really encouraging. You hear a lot about how environmental volunteering is a lot of getting knocked down and standing back up. And that's probably true, but I feel like you do see quite a bit of accomplishments. And when they come, they're really, really great and addicting and you just want to get more. So, and so I think what I've learned most has definitely been that it's never too late to pursue your passion. I mean, you know, life doesn't always work out how you plan. I thought now I would be definitely an environmental attorney. But this has been really fulfilling for me to still be able to do something that I'm passionate about, even more so oftentimes than my job. And the other thing I've learned is that you do not have to know anything about the environment to be involved with the Sierra Club. You can know zero because you will learn immediately and you'll keep learning every day. Just being in the email chains that you get, I read through them and just seeing like somebody commenting on something. I mean, the volunteers and the Sierra Club, they are all experts in their own right. And just being able to listen to them talk, you learn every single day, like you will from the people who talk next. Yeah, you definitely don't need to be an expert to make a difference here. And it really, you just have to care to be effective at volunteering here. So with that, I will say, definitely volunteer with us. If you have something specific you want to do, we can definitely make it happen. If you have no idea what you want to do, if you just want to get involved, we'll find a place for you. We'll work with you. I definitely recommend it. So if you're interested, please put your name and email or phone number in the chat. And with that, I will pass it off to Pat and Steve Miller.
Thank you, Allie. And I want to let you know that we also have a pet frog in our backyard. It lives in the fish pond.
Yeah, Ellie's cute photo reminded me of our own frog, and we do see him and feed him every day.
Yeah, he's
in
our
fact, pet. Yeah, there were 3 frogs this spring, and I think they're taking turns because the food disappears so quickly.
I'll start. I'm Pat Miller from Middletown. I'm a member of the Middletown Green Team, among other things.
And I'm Steve Miller, and I am climate chair of the Sierra Club Shore Group.
During Earth Week in April, we organized a series of 5 talks on the topic, how to get to clean energy. We saved the Earth Day time slot for ourselves and gave a talk on greening your life as an individual, as a town, the state, the US, or the whole world. The focus was on steps anyone can take to get to 50% greenhouse gas reduction by 2030 and net zero by 2050. We think climate action is the #1 priority for saving the world. And we think everyone should be working toward this goal. We have really reached a tipping point. We must see a significant result within the next 8.5 years by 2030. And we have the support now of both state and federal government to do it, and of at least 70% of the people in the US. And last week, the leaders of the G7 all agreed. We're going to talk about our volunteer work to save the world from climate change. You see the logo at the bottom with all the organizations in the Earth Week Coalition. One of them is Sierra Club, and that's right there. One thing we have learned in this work is the power of our networks of environmental activists. It's both satisfying and fun to have friends and activists in all these different organizations. We see people we know and like everywhere we go.
But to become a volunteer is scary. It requires a decision. You have to take a chance and take the step. But that first step can lead to a journey of wonder. Pat and I are always a team, 2 for the price of 1 in our climate work, and the price is free. Hanging Florida Chads in the year 2000 election, plus the resulting Supreme Court decision, all sunk Al Gore's chance to be U.S. president. He then founded the nonprofit Climate Reality Project. So I was enticed to attend Gore's climate reality training in Denver and invited Pat to go with me. And I can't describe how inspiring was this training, and I'm really so pleased Pat said yes. We were led personally by Al Gore. There were over 1,000 of us seated around tables in the convention center, listening to motivational talks and doing activities with our table groups, and ours was all from New Jersey. It was truly life-changing. To graduate, we were asked to commit to doing 10 acts of leadership within a year. I was very nervous because that was a big commitment to sign, but I took the pledge, and so did Pat, and we're still at it, and we actually exceed our bogey by a factor of 10 every year. Over 30,000 people have been trained by Al Gore. We have volunteered to mentor during training and are executive committee members for the New Jersey chapter of Climate Reality Graduates. Now, that first day we got home from training, we took a chance with taking our first step and attended a committee meeting of the Middletown Committee. Each of us stood up independently and spoke. Pat asked that the new municipal complex that was being designed be built to clean energy specs. And Steve asked for a green building element to be added to the Middletown Master Plan. And these 2 things were our first individual acts of leadership. And each of us is now, this year and next year, seeing our requests being enacted in Middletown. We have one fundamental principle: rapid elimination of greenhouse gas emissions. I'm going to show you 2 slides that drive home the point. This shows the core of our message. The pie chart shows the major source of greenhouse gas emissions. Transportation is 46%, this is New Jersey. Electrical generation is 20%, and heating with industrial, residential, and commercial comprising most of the rest of the New Jersey greenhouse gases. The next slide is the result of our analysis. And now we, along with all the other such studies, have settled on a very simple common message that we repeat and repeat and repeat again. There are 3 basic steps to eliminate most greenhouse gas emissions in New Jersey, in a household, in a town, or in a New Jersey state. They're all similar. And here they are. First, electrify all gas and diesel vehicles. Second, convert to 100% clean electricity from sources such as wind or solar. And third, electrify space heating and water heating and make it as efficient as possible to reduce the energy used.
We started immediately after the training to give Al Gore's climate reality presentation that we had been trained on to everyone who would listen: church groups, other environmental groups, Brookdale Science Club, our friends, neighbors, family, anyone who would listen. And we were always asking people to sign up to be part of our network. Here we are giving our first talk to the Shore Group Science Monday at Brookdale. You can see we're really having fun with the audience Q&A. It was very successful, close to the highest turnout they had ever had. They told us we were second only to Frank Pallone. What an honor. Steve and a small committee who attended the monthly letter writing started the monthly letter writing to legislators, and soon Steve became Sierra Club's climate chair.
So we arranged for the Sierra Club National Ready for 100 team to travel to New Jersey and give a training session for our network of volunteers from several Monmouth County towns, and thus begin our ongoing mentoring by Allie Samuel, who's the Sierra Club Northeast U.S. Ready for 100 coordinator. In fact, Allie and I met again last week, and then we gave birth to our own organization, Middletown for Clean Energy, and that's the top logo here. So we really are sponsored by 3 organizations. All 3 are shown here. And we have recruited several hundred Middletown people to sign on to work toward getting our town to commit to 100% clean energy. However, Middletown is reluctant to commit to anything in writing, but we and our neighbors meet with them regularly, and we attend committee meetings, and we continue to achieve small successes with the town. Month after month, year after year, they know who we are and consider us friendly but persistent. You see, our mission is to leave a legacy of a livable world for our children and grandchildren, and nobody tries to argue with that. And these are the grandsons who make us so determined to save their world.
We organized a large People's Climate March and rally in Red Bank in September 2018.
This is my favorite photo, Pat. She has it on her wall right beside her desk. I love it.
As part of 350.org's international event, 1,000 marches around the world. Through their website, we had over 300 people sign up, although it rained on and off and dampened turnout a bit. We had 10 speakers at the rally in Marine Park after the march, 10 display tables, and 10 plug-in electric vehicles on exhibit, all shepherded by a team of 35 volunteers. Our network was growing by leaps and bounds. We also talked our Middletown mayor into speaking on behalf of clean energy.
Right, and Middletown for Clean Energy erects a booth at the annual Middletown Day, and here you see us in action. We recruit Middletown residents to our cause. Next Middletown Day is September 18th of this year, and we'll be there, but last year was a wash. We meet, Middletown for Clean Energy meets monthly. It was in person at our house before the pandemic, and then on Zoom for the last year. We strategize on what our next ask will be of our township officials and try to meet with them regularly, as well as attending and speaking up at committee meetings. We also have attended and speak at state hearings, like on the New Jersey Energy Master Plan, and also various legislative issues. And we sign petitions, and I especially love that feeling I have clout when I represent and sign for Middletown for Clean Energy.
And you notice our colleague and neighbor is in the audience tonight.
Hello, John.
A fun thing that we have done is to attend some of the large marches and rallies that were happening more than weekly until the pandemic cut short our ability to gather in large crowds. This was the big climate march in New York City in September 2019, in which Greta Thunberg spoke. We were there for that. Young people all over the world need us to step up to make it happen. Their future is on the line. People and governments need to step up. And we're asking you to join in this effort. You don't have to do everything. We can do all that we do because there are 2 of us and we are retired. But every little step helps. We need to get cities and states to commit and get started toward clean energy. Just getting started is the key that unlocks the potential.
Pat, I really remember that the photo and the video of the New York City March, just like it was yesterday. You know, you and I thanked each police officer we passed in the march. They were standing at their station on each block. And when we reached the rally in Battery Park, we sat on the grass in the shade, surrounded by really exciting people, and we listened to Greta and other entertainment. But during the pandemic this last year, most all work seemed to halt in our town and a lot of others. Starting in May of 2020, however, Allie talked about the Sierra Club Get Out the Vote letter writing campaign. And that was for the national November 2020 election. And Sierra Club gave us template letters and lists of names and addresses in battleground states and asked us to handwrite only 10 letters per week. We thought we could do that really easy. And we did that up until the mailing date in November, but it really caught on with us. And then after that came the 2 Senate races in Georgia on January 5th. We decided that our most valuable contribution to climate action would be these elections. If we couldn't get climate-friendly leaders in office at the federal level, there would be no climate action. So that is what we did, upping our game as the deadline grew closer. By the final mailing date at the end of December, the two of us had written over 2,000 personal letters to potential voters and gone through at least 10 pens. Here's Pat delivering one batch to the post office. I believe we influenced the Georgia vote. And you know what the action is from that. The result is the current U.S. Senate that has a Democratic tiebreaker. We addressed all of our letters to likely environmental voters throughout Georgia to get out the vote, and we were successful.
I hope we've given you some ideas of the work that turns us on. We invite you to join our newest step forward. We created a 50 by 30 team, which stands for 50% greenhouse gas reduction by 2030. Join us to learn how to encourage yourself, your neighbors, and your town to cut greenhouse gas emissions by 50% by 2030. Just enter your name, email, and city in chat. As I said earlier, you don't have to do it all, but whatever you choose, it's important and valuable work. In fact, the future of the world's grandchildren and beyond depends upon you and all of us.
Thank you, Pat. And now I have the great pleasure, and Mary now is starting to turn red from this introduction, to introduce Mary Reilly, our Sierra Club fearless leader who is not afraid to take the next step. She is Sierra Club Shore Group Program Director. Mary put together this volunteer night. Let us welcome Mary Reilly.
Wow, thank you, thank you. Yeah, so I will, first of all, I want to get a frog, a pet frog. And I'm really impressed about some of those statistics, especially the 10 pens. That really, so yeah, so this is me. I look a little manicure, but I'm a prodigal volunteer. I was really heavily into volunteering 2009, 10, and 11. I had worked for AIG, and if you remember what happened with AIG, I got laid off in 2009, but that was perfect. I knew what I wanted to do. So one of the things I did, I was a green team leader for Cranford, and we were certified within a year. And it was great. I mean, we worked with, like, one of the things Allie keeps talking about is all the people you meet. And all the people you meet, you know, of like-minded souls, of people who are willing to dig in and get their hands dirty. They're just kind of the people I want to talk to. So I really enjoyed it. We had 27 volunteers and 15 programs. And if you've ever worked for Sustainable Jersey, none of them were fluff. And one of the things I would like to do for the people who've joined us, who volunteer and are engaged, is to consider leadership. One of the things about leadership as the green team leader, and one of the things about our leader, Dennis Anderson, who's on, and we can't see if he's turning red, but you know, but he's really a wonderful leader. And one of the things that is involved in that is encourage, follow up, and encourage. So when I was a green team leader in Cranford, people would, this one woman started a green business program, and we were the only one, Cranford was the only one in the state that did it. But once a week, she called me to tell me how hard it was and people weren't getting back to her. And she's a real estate agent. So there was a certain amount of, I'm going to call it grit or persistence that she already had. But she would get discouraged. And you're doing a great job. You are doing a great job. You're the only one in the state who's doing this. You're doing a great job. And every Friday for 9 months. And then all of a sudden, she totally got into it. And it's not that the program hadn't already taken off. It had already taken off. It was just now she took off. And so that was really wonderful to see. I have a picture here of two women, because when you bring up encouraging conversation on Google to use, that's free, women come up. But I have to say, in the Jersey Shore group, Sierra Club, and I would guess any Sierra Club, there are so many men on our group. It's predominantly men, and extremely encouraging. I'm really grateful every day that I get to volunteer with them and work with them and just be part of this movement. So I was out of it for 8 years. And then I had a mentor, and the mentor said, well, if you could do anything, what would you do? I said, well, I'd really like to work on global climate change. But I don't know. I've been out of it for 8 years. I'm working now. I don't know. I don't know everyone anymore. La, 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 la. So she said, and I'm not kidding, she said, just do it. Just do it now. No more excuses. I'm going to call you tomorrow. You're going to tell me how you did it. I was like, oh. So I was really like, oh my God, like, who am I going to call? So I called the only person who really came to mind. Like, who do I know of who's really invested in global climate change? And I'm not kidding. I called AOC. I'm God's truth. And of course, I didn't get through to her. You can, you just call her number at Congress, and someone else answered. And she said, and they said, well, why don't you call the Sierra Club? The number in New Jersey is. So I called Isaac, and I told him I was really interested in global climate change, and I lived near the Jersey Shore in Monmouth County. And he said, call, oops, you're going the wrong way. Call Steve Miller. So within 3 calls, in 15 minutes of like, okay, I'm going to call somebody, I got to Steve Miller. And you can see that, and met his wife, and you can see, it was a great connection. He invited me to the executive committee meeting like the next night, I think. And I went, and have gone every night, every meeting since. And so as a result, I'm going to go back. So as a result, now I'm the director of programs for the Sierra Club. I'm a trainer, so I love doing this. And the other thing that worked out was that I took over right when COVID started. So in being a corporate trainer, I'm pretty familiar with how to do things online because it's something that we do. But the person who had been doing it wasn't so comfortable. So I was like, oh, no worries, I'll do it. And I just think this is, this is from William Hutchinson Murray and Gorta, and it's been attributed to different people, and this quote has been smushed together, but I'm going to read it separately. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. The moment that one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issued from this decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance which no man could have dreamt would have come his way or her way, because it's 1921. And I think you guys are hearing, I'm going to go back, and I think you guys are hearing a lot of that in this, in this conversation, that, once we committed to it, once each of us committed to it, I'm sure there's more stories like that, then, stuff happened. It's also true that when I was doing this 8 years ago, it felt like, oh my God, global climate change, we are never going to do this. And it's been a long haul, and it's going to be a long haul. But you know what? I'm okay with that. The other thing is that 8 years ago, there was so much we couldn't have done. If I wanted to go off the grid energetically, if I wanted to not be dependent on fossil fuel for my heating or electric, there's no way I could have done it. Now I can, and it's only 8 years. So Providence moves too. One of the things that I've been involved is the NESE pipeline, Northeast Supply Extension Pipeline. Pipelines are in one of the 7 circles of hell. They are what the oil companies are doing. They get money or tax deferment or something when they build these. And since they're otherwise losing income, then they're building more of these. So this was stopped. And I came in right on the tail end of this. But the other thing that, and I think, so environmental justice, a cumulative impact bill. Nikki Sheets, pictured here, he had been working on environmental justice for 10 years. And he had sponsored or created the cumulative impact bill, and he had been working on it all that time. But during the Black Lives Matter movement, this was a bill whose time had come. So as the program director, I was able to get Nikki to speak, and then do what we often do at these programs. We have a letter writing campaign. So now I wasn't the only one. He spoke at several different places during that month, and it got passed. So I know that I'm part of it, and I'm so proud to be part of it. And like Allie said, there's, you can feel, I know that if I didn't do anything, I would feel like overwhelmed, but I feel like I know I'm contributing. Sugar. Also, the New Jersey plastic bag ban. This is another thing we had, and Allie mentioned this too. This is another program we had that I was able to put together. Now, guys, I put these together. There's a whole group of people who support me with this and give me ideas and say, why don't we do this? And there's legislations on that. So this is definitely not Lone Ranger territory. But we had the presentation, we had the letter writing campaign, and it got passed. Yes, the best single-use plastic program in the country. Thank you. What do you think? What is your inspiration for this? And you can just put one word in chat, but I'm going to ask everyone to put one word in chat. Inspiring, purpose. Nice. Just do it. Amen. Ooh, clean energy, fulfilling. Join us. Animals. Strive. I'm done. Again, definitely get involved if you are involved, if there's something else you want to do, or if you don't know what you want to do. There's plenty to do, and it's, and join us. Allie, do you have any last words?
Get involved. You won't regret it. And thank you, everybody.
Pat, Steve?
It takes that first step. Yeah, that's right. For us, the biggest thing for us is we're saving the world. And that's behind that's foundation feeling I have, and Pat has. And we've had it for years now, so it doesn't go away. We're saving the world.
For those 2 little boys and everybody else's grandchildren.
Thank you. We enjoy doing this.